Yeah, you know it.
Help me. God help me.
No. What was that?
That was me. Tra-la-la.
What are those lights you got in the background there? Is one of them Sonic?
Huh?
A Street Fighter? What's that light? I see
right
behind
back
you.
there.
Yeah.
They don't really show up through the camera there.
Not
the
really.
color gets washed out. One of those is Sonic the
Sonic the Hemp Hog. Yeah.
Chronic the Hemp Hog.
Chronic the Hemp Hog.
And Super Mario World Mario. Those are 16-bit representations of
made of light.
Made of light.
Oh, is that one of them Pixel Pals?
Those are both Pixel Pals.
Okay.
Those are Pixel Pals.
So when does the Bubsy Pixel Pal come out?
December 18th.
It's already out in my dreams.
It's already out in my pants. Would you care to take a look?
You had to make it vulgar. You just had to.
This is what I call the Woolly Strikes Back.
That's good. That's
what
good.
could possibly go schlong?
Didn't even go for the more obvious pussycat joke. I
don't know what you mean. He's a bobcat.
Explain it.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense. He's a bobcat.
Okay.
And his name is Bubsy.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to episode 577 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, November 28th, 2017. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, from Canada, where they don't have Thanksgiving or Black Friday, Mr. Greg Seward.
We do have Thanksgiving, and
Not
thanks
real.
to you sons of bitches, we have Black Friday now.
Not
Happy
real Thanksgiving.
Boxing Day? Is that what they call your Black Friday?
You don't get the
that's
day
actually
off.
when the best sales start.
You don't get the day off from work to take advantage of all the sales.
Do you guys call it Canadian Black Friday?
No.
You should.
You really should.
Yeah.
All
right. And joining us from the great state of Washington, Mr. Phil Theobald. Hello.
Yo, how's it going? I'm gone.
What?
What?
I said, yo, how's it going?
It is going well. Thank you.
That's what I want to hear.
And joining us from the great state of California, Mr. Ethan Einhorn. Hello.
Hello. I promised I wouldn't do it. I promised I was going to totally ignore Black Friday this year. But we ended up driving past them all. And what do you know? I came home with $25 copies of Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein 2 and a $38 PlayStation 4 controller because I needed a replacement. And I don't feel badly about it. I should. I told myself I wasn't going to do it, but I feel giddy. I'm happy with it.
I took advantage of some Black Friday deals as well. I picked up one of those PlayStation controllers at GameStop for $38. Yep. The clear one.
Oh, I wish I could have gotten that. That would have been nice.
Why didn't you get that one? Where did you go?
Because all they had left were the black ones. And really, I actually did legitimately need to replace it because the rubber pads on the analog sticks, my son a couple years ago thought it was great fun to pull at that plastic. And so the plastic kind of came off. So it was nice to get something new.
All right.
But the clear is beautiful. Did anyone else do any Black Friday?
I grabbed a couple of things on the various eShop sales. I grabbed grabbed the Witcher expansions on PlayStation 4 because I think it was like $16 for both of them.
Nice.
Yep.
Grabbed Ori and the Blind Forest and Abzu on the Xbox. These are $10 a piece. And I grabbed I Am Setsuna on the Switch. It's like $20.
Nice. I picked up Flame in the Flood on Switch.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like $11. I was like, yeah, okay. And I picked up Drop Mix.
Oh,
nice.
Oh my god.
Nice.
That looks like it'll be fun for like 20 minutes.
$55. $54.99 on Amazon. I was like, I can't.
It would actually cost you money not to buy it.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Drop
saying.
Mix is fun.
That's what I've heard.
Drop mix is
I've
fun, and you have not gotten it yet.
I have not gotten it. No, and I have the Transformers card ready to go as soon as I get it.
I don't even know you people.
That Transformers card is worth like knocking
Worth
on
some
$100
scratch.
these days.
Yeah.
That was the PAX West exclusive card that you got for demoing the game. And yeah, it's going for last I looked, it was going for like $80 or something ridiculous.
Damn.
But
yeah. Let me tell you. So
I
I drove down to the extended family's house down in near the coast of Georgia, near Savannah. And my brother-in-law is like, hey, you know, GameStop, they opened at 4 and they're going to have all their Black Friday stuff. They're going to have their deals out. And you want to go?
Rock out with your deals out.
So I was like, hey, I guess, sure.
CJ misheard deals and was like, yes, let's go.
GameStop? Yeah, I want to
it's
go
just
there.
their deals that are going to be out. You can go.
So I thought, well, you know, they have the clear controllers and the controllers are cheap. So if they have one, I'll buy that. Because I'm buying digital. I buy digital games now. I don't buy physical. So
so
much of an opportunity for me.
I do have, though, a very good argument this time around for physical, and that is
I doubt it. Go ahead.
I don't want to hear it.
Oh, listen to this. Okay, you will appreciate it.
Oh God, let's hear it. Let's do it.
Okay, so as I said, Evil Within 2, Wolfenstein 2, both $25. Picked them up today, right? The trade-in value of them right now at GameStop is
this isn't a new argument.
$20 and $21 respectively. So I'm just saying, being that those prices tend to stay static for at least a couple weeks after Black Friday, if I burn through those games and prioritize them, I will have effectively gotten them for like $5-6 each.
All right. Well, we'll check back in.
How is that a new argument?
We'll check back in 2 or 3 weeks and see if you finished them.
Yeah.
We'll see if you get that,
that
money back. For me, I've never traded games in, and I don't finish games with much regularity, especially if they're not portable. So, yeah. No reason for me to buy physical, really. But so we go to this GameStop, and you know, I've been to GameStops. We've all been to GameStops, and the reason I stopped going to GameStops is because they're not a very they're not a good store, right? Like the shopping experience is wanting, I would say. Usually,
the Think Geek store with some games.
Well, the problem is when people bring in their used games, you know, if they have them in their basement or the basement of their parents' house or whatever, or they're smokers, or they have pets, or they
maybe
urinate on their games.
Maybe their pets smoke while they urinate on the games.
Right.
Exactly. And they trade them in, and GameStops after a while start to take on the odors of the owners of their own games, right? I mean, that's just how it is.
I've never heard this described this way, but keep going.
But we went to this GameStop, and we walked in, and I was like, holy crap, this is the nicest GameStop I've ever been in. It had hardwood floors. It was super clean. It did not smell at all.
Like urine.
It didn't smell of anything.
Had a nice island in the center of the kitchen there. Very roomy.
Smelled of lemon pledge.
It did. It was a fresh, crisp smell. And this is in Hinesville, Georgia. This is in like the middle of nowhere, really. Like but they have a really good GameStop.
I'd like to welcome all our listeners from Hinesville.
I was going to say. Welcome to your first and last episode of the podcast.
That's right. But so yeah, I picked up the clear DualShock 4, and it was good. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the fact that when you do Black Friday on Saturday, because that's another nice thing about GameStop is it goes Friday to Sunday, actually. There was no line for me. I was able to get into the mall without any problem, and literally I wasn't waiting for anyone else to finish their transactions. I was able to just come up, buy my stuff, and be out the door.
Yeah, but it's way more festive if there's a line.
Yeah,
for crying out loud.
Well, no, I mean...
that sounds like an Ethan argument.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I love that. Honestly, what you just described is one of the worst things about Black Friday. It's like, I love it because Black Friday lasts from Thursday to Monday.
Exactly.
Well, I'm just saying I had an easy experience getting what I was looking for.
Nice.
I had a good experience too. And I would not have gone there without my brother-in-law suggesting that we do. So he was picking up a bunch of presents for his kids.
I do think, by the way, it's pretty cool that the first level of Wolfenstein 2 is now available for free. Apparently, that's also the big moment you want to check out and know about as well. So
I thought you were going to say the first level of Wolfenstein is a GameStop.
No,
or set during Black Friday. That'd be good too.
That's DLC.
I went to GameStop on Black Friday and bought 12 of the Funko Black Friday mystery boxes.
Did you really?
Yeah, just to get random Funko Pops.
Why?
I don't know. That sounds like gambling to me.
Because you never know what you're going to get. You just give them your money. No, I did not. I did not.
Yeah.
Someone on Twitter was urging me to go buy some because one of the little random Funko Pops you could get was a pixelated Mega Man, which I would love to get, but even I'm not going to buy a $20 physical
blind
box loot crate.
Those things are $20. $20.
Yeah,
the blind boxes.
Oh God.
$20 and you don't even know what you're getting inside it.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Pretty lame. Pretty lame.
Not worth it.
Yeah.
I want to do a quick follow up here at the top of the show because I played Doom with the C-bands on.
Doom.
And it didn't work.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Just so you know, it didn't work.
I was able to play a little bit longer, so it prolonged things. I was able to last slightly longer.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Vomiting. Motion sickness and Doom on the Switch.
Oh, okay. I thought
with these little round straps that you just put on your wrist.
Wait, what? Oh, your wrist.
I
was using those way wrong.
And it uses the pressure points to ease your morning sickness. I'm not pregnant, so they didn't work. No, it kind of was. It was okay, but not great. And I'd probably have to pop some Dramamine as well to fully experience Doom. Anyway, let's talk about the Game Awards because the nominees have been announced.
I didn't talk about what I did on Black Friday.
There's controversy.
I didn't talk about what games I got on Black Friday.
Did you get any? I just figured you didn't get any.
Well, I was gonna. Yeah. Well, never mind. You don't need to know.
Tell us about the Pixel Pals that you bought.
I didn't get anything.
See?
No, that's not true. Actually, I took advantage vicariously of Best Buys. They had a deal. If you are a Best Buy Elite member, which apparently I guess means you just spend a crap ton of money at Best Buy. I am not a Best Buy Elite member because most of my Best Buy is shoplifting. But one of the guys I work with, my boss, is a Best Buy Elite member, and he don't tell Best Buy, but he ordered a couple games for me. He ordered some games for himself, and I said, "Hey, while you're ordering those, toss in a couple extra for me too." And he did, and I don't think they found out because they didn't cancel his order. So I have, what do I have on the way? I have that Uncharted.
The Lost Legacy?
Lost Legacy is on its way, and I picked up Injustice 2.
$15, or is it less?
I believe it was like 15 or 20.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice price.
It's a pretty game, yeah.
Yeah, and
Uncharted's great.
Uncharted, I've been meaning to play, and I want to get Injustice just because the Turtles are coming to Injustice.
Oh, that's right.
Later this year, the Ninja Turtles. So,
how about games that only came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago or less than a month ago, being like 50% discount,
like Wolfenstein
Black Friday,
50% or more? Yeah,
Wolfenstein and Evil Within 2. Like,
yeah. Not bad.
Like, why even buy anything at launch?
Exactly.
during October or November, especially if it comes from Ubisoft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing that's tough is you never know exactly from the start which games are going to be there. You could easily guess that those would be the ones, but Assassin's Creed didn't drop to that price, and that came out the same day as Wolfenstein.
But if you just wait on all of them, then
of course,
you buy
eventually
the other ones at full price. And
Yep.
no, what I'm saying is, you just buy the ones that didn't go down at full price, and you're not really any further behind.
Yeah,
sure.
Even digital this year, a lot of those games also went down on digital.
Yeah,
to that level. So anyway,
so let's
talk about the Game Awards.
What's the big controversy?
There's controversy.
Al Franken's one of the judges. I know that.
So
that's causing
too soon.
Timely.
That is topical.
I hear they're going to play a new Toy Story short.
Al Franken and John Lasseter are the two main judges.
They're going to be presenting an award.
You can though play as Pat in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
It's Pat?
Yeah.
You're going to have to explain that because nobody listening to this show
was Al Franken Pat?
No, he was Stuart Smalley.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Stuart Smalley.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I didn't. I was like, wait, am I missing the joke here?
Yeah,
Ethan getting his SNL characters mixed up.
Oh my god.
Yes. Which was the one that he did do? He
was Stuart Smalley.
You said it like 3 times.
Daily Affirmations.
Okay.
No, Daily Affirmations was different.
Lowered expectation. You mean with Jack Handy? Is that the one you're talking about?
Jack Handy
that wasn't Daily Affirmations. That was Deep Thoughts with Jack.
That was
Handy.
Deep Thoughts. Okay.
You guys suck at this.
I'm the only one who actually knows the SNL stuff. All right. You guys are going to embarrass me at SNL Con.
I don't feel like we are. I feel like you and Ethan might be a walking sketch, though. If you keep sharing your memories of SNL.
I think you know what, John Lasseter is going to be a bigger embarrassment at D23 this year, though.
Oh,
I know that much.
Yikes!
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Let's talk about the Game Awards.
Lowered expectations is Mad TV, says last
I knew that.
on our chat. So you're bringing up a whole other sketch comedy show.
So were the other two. Although the two that they were bringing up made no sense. They didn't even exist.
Which
in
one?
no sketch comedy show was Pat played by.
No, you're right.
But at least that was
Currently
SNL.
Wrong. I was correct though.
Yep. All right.
My favorite
Awards.
Saturday Night Live moment was the when Bruce McCullough sang the "These Are the Daves I Know" song. That's my favorite SNL.
Hey, if you guys don't speed along,
Phil's trying to out-nerd all of you.
In detail, I'm going to talk in detail about why I thought Justice League was great and why I'm going to see it a second time. So if you want that conversation,
Ethan,
yeah,
you go ahead.
I got you, CJ.
Okay.
I got you with that Citizen Kane bit.
You did. Sure did. All right. Let's talk about the Game Awards now that we've gotten through that. Let's unmute Ethan too, because
I heard
I can't unmute him, so I heard somebody do that.
Jeff Keighley called up Nintendo and said that Mario Odyssey was probably going to be the game of the year, but Nintendo was like, "No, we're going to take a pass on that."
I totally can't unmute Ethan either.
I can't unmute him. Ethan, unmute yourself.
I can't unmute him either.
Who did that?
There we go. I didn't do it.
You did it, Greg.
I don't remember doing it.
I saw it on my screen.
That was the gag.
All right. All right. Game Awards. PUBG.
Yeah.
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is nominated for
Game of the Year.
Game of the Year, even though it's an early access game.
Oh, for God's sake! That's the controversy.
That's the controversy.
Is that it's an early access game? It's not even finished. It shouldn't be eligible for Game of the Year.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Nonsense.
That's a big bug of
30 million units.
Yeah.
It is coming out of early access before the end of the year.
Even if it's not, who cares?
Yeah, even if it isn't, it's fine.
Right. And I totally agree with that. And on top of that, it is absolutely one of the 5 most talked about games of the year.
Oh yeah, easily.
I mean, it has to be there.
And it's the biggest thing on the PC. I mean, their concurrent players have gone past a lot of Valve's own games on Steam. So it's huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who misses when there wasn't the internet?
I don't. Speaking of the internet,
Yeah.
well, I guess this is a magazine on the internet. The Switch got Time Magazine's top honor as Gadget of the Year. That's above the iPhone 10 and the Xbox One X.
Wow.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's high praise. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree
Let's
with
talk
that.
about it for 20 minutes.
Well,
Let's
but
talk
if you
about how
think
great
about,
the Switch is.
I'm going to talk actually for a second about the other two because, everything I've heard about the iPhone X is terrific. It's a fantastic device. And I've heard that people actually are super happy with their Xbox One X's. But again, those don't radically reshape the ecosystem that they're in. I mean, it's not as big a deal. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, boy.
I agree.
I remember when the Nomad won Gadget of the Year for doing the exact same thing back in 1995.
Do you think it's the same thing though? I mean, actually,
how is it not the same?
It wasn't
thing?
Time Magazine. It was Greg Stewart's personal newsletter. And
how is it? Are you
fanzine.
serious? Are you serious? Like, do you think that people, like half the people that use Nomad would connect it to the TV and that it was the thing that they were carrying around all the time? I think things like battery length actually made that totally prohibitive.
Okay.
Greg's being funny.
Yeah.
Greg made a joke.
Okay.
No,
But the Nomad is a nice little piece of hardware, actually.
No,
It's cool.
I'm agreeing. It's the Gadget of the Year, but the thing is that you started taking it to how it's revolutionized the world we live in, and I'm not really sure that's really that far, but
might be a little hyperbolic.
yeah, a little bit. That's all I was getting at.
Okay.
Yeah.
For many people who especially have families and their gaming time is limited.
Sure.
Being able to have a system that you can play off of
Or for
top.
kids. I was having a discussion with at hockey practice this morning. My son's hockey practice. One of the fathers was telling me that they bought their son a Switch for Christmas, and I was saying the exact same thing. It's like it's great because it's got a really good library now.
Yep.
And you don't need to listen. You don't need to deal with him begging you for the family television.
That's right.
Yep.
So no, absolutely deserved.
Well, and I've bought Skyrim on 360 PC and Xbox One, and the Switch one is the first one I've been able to get past 6 hours on for exactly those reasons. I actually can play
There
it.
you go. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, let's talk about Valkyria Chronicles 4, which got announced for pretty much everything last week, including the Nintendo Switch.
Yep, perfect for that.
Yeah.
It's a shame that they released that previous Valkyria game,
Revolution,
because that did that not do the brand any favors.
It didn't.
True.
I think it's pretty much forgotten and disowned.
They better hope so.
Yeah. No, I mean it came out like in blink and you'll miss it, right? There was very little support for it. But Valkyria Chronicles 2, I played the hell out of that on my PSP Go, and it is just such a perfect thing for handheld play. That's really the way you want to play that series as far as I'm concerned. Such a good fit.
Indeed. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one does. I think it's coming out in 2018, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it would have to at this point.
Actually click on the link that I sent out. Yeah, 2018.
Oh, God.
All right. Let's do this one. GT Sport came out, what is it, October? And,
yeah, and it didn't do very well.
Announced new features. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they just announced this week that they're doing an update, which includes 50 new cars, but more importantly, includes an actual campaign mode.
Oh,
which is what most people were ticked off about. So, it does have a campaign mode, but it's a series of basically like the license tests in previous Gran Turismo games. So, that's great. I'm curious if that was actually something that was planned the whole time, or if this is a reaction to the fairly cool reception the game got.
Well, Greg, you know dev cycles pretty well. I would imagine that this had to be planned for them.
It had to have been.
You would think, but at the same time, I mean, they already have all the pieces in place.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, I doubt that they created new tracks, new cars, or anything like that. They might have created some new artwork for the front end, but I don't know. it's not like they built something from the ground up. So,
Well, for me, with a racing game, since I'm not very good at racing games, like the campaign is so important because that's the one part of the game where I actually feel powerful and in control. Because it tends to be tuned for people that are less experienced to feel good about the gameplay.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, and you definitely didn't have that with GT Sport because it's almost entirely. Well, I mean, you can play against bots, but it's almost entirely online, and if you're not good at the game, you're not good at the game.
Yep.
There you go.
Anyway, I just thought it was nice that they were doing
good at the game. You're not good at the game.
Yeah, just because this is probably the coolest reception I think a Gran Turismo game has ever gotten. So,
And that update is coming out in December, right? So pretty quick.
Yeah, I think the 15th.
That's great. Last bit of news here. Last week we got Animal Crossing Pocket Camp released worldwide. So, and did anybody else install it?
I did download it.
Yeah, I got it.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think?
It looks like Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I played it for at least 45 minutes.
I honestly haven't played much of it at all. I've been distracted with other games this week.
Yeah, it kind of turned me off. It started asking me for money almost immediately, and I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything positive or negative about it because I downloaded it, played it for about 5 minutes, and then just moved on to something else. I wanted to see what it looked like. I wanted to see what the feel of it was walking around using touch. It seemed technically competent, but I don't know if I'm going to go back to it. When I'm playing mobile, I really have gotten into a nice groove with Mario Run, and that's kind of all I need.
Sure. Yeah, technically it's a really sound game. Looks like Animal Crossing, has great soundtrack, of course. I just find that it feels a little soulless because you each day do the same little chores and you don't feel like you're progressing much at all. So, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a nice skin on top of Miitomo. That's all Animal Crossing. That's about it.
See, I didn't really play Miitomo, so I can't. I assume that's correct. But I don't care. I doubt I'll play this anymore. My daughter's been playing it. She seems to like it. So, that's fine. I mean,
it's okay.
She can't buy anything on it, so it's cool.
It's not a replacement for a full Animal Crossing game on the Switch.
No, exactly. That's honestly, that's the next time I think I'll get excited about an Animal Crossing. And even then, I've found the last few times Animal Crossing has come out, I go into it really excited, and then I just it peters out within a month. I find the first one we got, the GameCube one, I played for probably like a year, but ever since then it's never really grabbed me again. They're good games, but they've never really had staying power after that.
The one that got me, aside from the original on GameCube, was the 3DS game. New Leaf, I thought was absolutely superb.
It was really good, yeah. I just didn't hold my interest.
I love the look and feel of the series, and I always have. But I'll say that probably the biggest obstacle for me for both the new mobile game and any new Switch game that comes out is Stardew Valley, because I really have surprised myself with getting about 14 hours into that and really enjoying it. And that's something that I also like, that I don't have to, if I'm playing at night, always have it be nighttime in the game.
Yes.
There's some very cool things about the real-time elements, but I like feeling like I can leave the game for 10 days and come back and I haven't had anything wither, or I haven't missed anything important.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point, because that was the thing that I think that was actually one of the reasons why I wasn't able to stick with a lot of the Animal Crossings, because especially as got older, had kids, my gaming time happens after 9 o'clock at night, and that's usually the only time I have. So, it's like, oh, all your villagers are asleep and you can't do any of this. Yeah. And, the whole gaming by appointment thing, like, I get how that's cool. Like, you'd have the special events that happen at a certain time of day on certain days. But all it really did for me was remind me how there was no realistic way for me to actually enjoy those properly. So didn't care. Animal Crossing sucks is what I'm trying to say.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Wow.
But you guys aren't saying anything.
Alrighty. Let's move into what we've been playing. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
Animal
let's do it.
Crossing.
Okay. Let's start with Phil.
Well, most of my week has been spent playing a game for work that I'm not really supposed to talk about on a podcast.
Battle
Okay.
Chef Brigade? What does Nintendo have to do with Battle Chef Brigade?
Oh, no. I've been playing something different. I've been playing another big release that's related to my job.
Where do you work?
At a company. At a company that, produces various things.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is really worth talking about. Thank you for...
Well, he decided to go with me first. So, but I heartily recommend everyone play what I was playing. In fact, play multiple copies of it. Bye.
I love that no one's jumping in and telling anyone what they're talking. It's great.
Bye. But other than that, I played a little bit of Master Chief Brigade, a hot new Cartoon Network game.
Sounds like something Sam Raimi would play.
Well, Greg, it's funny you ask. He's right here with me.
I know. He's never far from you.
No, he's always right within reach. I've been played some Battle Chef Brigade. So.
Oh yeah, from those fine people over at Adult Swim Games and Trinket Studios.
Yes, who's the developer?
Trinket Studios.
Very nice. That's a fun little game.
Yeah, I
mean, don't all jump in and agree with me.
I like it. It's
okay.
It's good. I mean, there's nothing else to play on the Switch, so I tried it.
I think on a platform that has so many great indies, this one still manages to stand out. I love the look of it. I just think that anime art style is just beautiful. I like the way the story is woven in. I love that everyone has voices. That's incredible. Yeah. And I also like that it's not just a match 3 game. It's a clever match 3 game, but the actual battle stuff is super refreshing. It's just really, really clever and just feels like a very unique experience. It's not something you can say it's like X, Y, and Z and come up with a meaningful comparison at all. I think it may end up being on my top 10 list, to be honest, because it just does things so differently, and it's just so much fun to play for extended windows. I'm loving it.
I'm terrible at it. I agree with everything you just said, but I'm really bad at it.
Yeah, I'm not very good at the game.
Yeah. But it is really good. So Battle Chef Brigade, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically an Iron Chef style RPG that's played via sort of a pseudo, well, I guess in two parts, like a side-scrolling beat 'em up, which is how you get your ingredients by going out and destroying animal and plant life and picking up the remains.
Yeah.
And then sort of a pseudo match 3 game when you're actually cooking.
But when you're going and getting the ingredients from the wild, you have to be very mindful of which ingredients the judges are looking for to make sure that you can mix and match the colors that represent those flavors and deliver something that tastes good. And, in my household right now, my kids are just nuts about shows like Cake Boss and stuff like that. They just really, really are into it. So cooking shows are on all the time. And so to see that woven in on top of all the other clever mechanics is just cool. And again, I haven't seen it done elsewhere.
CJ's scowling like we're talking about the wrong game. Kind of like, that's not how it's played at all.
I'm not. I'm trying to figure out why my internet connection seems to be slow.
You're roboting like crazy too, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
We didn't want to tell you. We didn't want you to feel bad about yourself.
I figured something was happening.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good. I just suck at it. But it's a really cool concept.
Nice looking game. And the fact that everyone is voiced is really fantastic, and not something I would expect from an indie game like that. So
the art is kind of like Banner Saga, but more anime. It's that kind of hand-drawn pencil art.
It looks
really cool.
It reminds me of the Legend of Korra artwork.
Sure. Yeah.
That's just the character designs feel like it's from Korra, which is a good thing because that show has some really great character design. And we lost CJ.
CJ just left. We have no host. We can do whatever we want.
Now let's talk about how we really feel about Battleship Brigade.
Game is
shut up! He's back.
It's awesome. That game is great.
Yeah, that game was great.
Boy.
Yeah, it's actually, though, been getting a lot of very good buzz editorially. It's gotten good reviews from IGN, and I've heard a lot of the other podcasts talking about it, which having any indie game talked about at this time of year is kind of amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we have like over an 80 Metacritic now, something like that.
Oh, yeah?
It was over 80 when I last checked it. So I'm just going to say it's over 80, even though I haven't checked it since like Friday.
82.
Boy,
I just checked. 82.
You got lucky.
And,
yeah.
Having been in a position.
And we're number 12 on the eShop in bestsellers.
Oh, nice.
Right now. So that's good.
Cool.
Yeah. Having been in a position where I had to at Sega many times explain to people what it actually took to get into the 80s, when I was creative director, you need lots of 90s at the top to be able to get.
You really do.
I'll say this.
It's tough.
Much better than Sonic Forces at 56.
It was much easier back when Donkey Kong 64 was released to get a good Metacritic score.
Oh boy,
I think we learned that last week. But yeah, it's like a combination of Monster Hunter with a match 3 mechanic and an Iron Chef sort of package, and it's great. The art is lovely. The story is lovely as well. The writing is really funny. It's constantly challenging you with new variations on the match 3 formula, and it's super fun. And I'm super proud of everyone at Trinket and Adult Swim who worked on it. I did not work directly on it, but I was cheerleading from the sidelines, let's say.
Yep, and on Switch, what I love to do is I love to have a big game like a Zelda or a Skyrim, and then have like 1 or 2 nuggety games to just play as kind of a dessert at the end of a larger session. And this is a perfect kind of nuggety session game.
Indeed, it's full of nuggets.
Yep,
full. All right,
you know what else is full of nuggets?
We moving on.
My pants.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
like
Greg.
Hi.
Like little turds.
Nothing it says.
Like I just pooped my pants.
Yeah. I've just been playing, like, I'm still jumping into Mario once in a while.
It's a good game.
But been super busy most of the week, so haven't had a chance to play much else. Played some F1, but I don't want to go on and on about F1 again because you guys don't want to hear it. So yeah.
Sure, it's good though. You said it was good. So yeah. Can you hear me?
And I have to fly out. I have to fly out of here in like 5 hours. So let's keep this moving.
Where are you going? That's so important.
I'm going to New York.
Oh man, look at you.
Nintendo store while you're there.
Probably not. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. So I played some ARMS this week. They had a little event. They had a Party Crash event. I don't know if you checked that out, Ethan.
No, I've been playing so many things that I haven't gotten to it. How's the new character also?
I didn't play as the new character yet, but I played during the in-game event because they gave you like 1.5 to 2x earnings during the event. So I did that instead. And they had things like one-hit kills and like everybody's special meter filled up super quick. They had like different plays on the mechanics in the game, and it was super fun. And I played a little bit of that and earned a special event badge.
It's super cool that they're continuing to support that.
Yeah, they had a couple months ago, they had the update that supported in-game events, but they didn't actually run one until this past week.
That's cool. I wish I hadn't missed it.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, I missed that. I missed the Splatfest also, the fantasy versus sci-fi thing.
Yeah, I missed that one too.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I didn't feel too bad about it.
But
though.
I mean, sci-fi wins, right?
You get a Splatoon 2 content update that adds a couple more stages and a couple more weapons, and you can now change equipment in between matches.
Yeah,
which I know
that's
a lot of
super
people have been
cool.
asking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's important.
So I'll be playing more of that. I finally am at the final area of the single player.
Okay.
To finish that up.
Taking a while there, CJ.
Soon. It has, yeah. But I'm finally there. I had one stage that was kicking my ass over and over again I really just had to take my time on it rather than try to run through it.
Yeah, they do a nice job closing the game out. But if I remember correctly, you got to make sure that you're actually looking after your upgrades as well. Because when I jumped in to try to beat the final boss, I actually could not do it. My character wasn't upgraded enough.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. How that goes. I've also been playing the Jackbox Party Pack 4. I don't know if you guys play the Jackbox game.
I haven't played 4. I love the Jackbox games are great. Always a good time.
They are.
Yeah.
And my family especially loves Fibbage, and Fibbage 3 is in the pack 4.
Oh, really? Nice.
There. So we played a bunch of that over Thanksgiving, and it was absolutely fantastic. This one adds a mode that it's Fibbage, but it's about yourself, like the actual players in the room have to make up truths and lies about themselves, and it's super fun.
It's funny because right around the time that the Black Friday sales were happening, I don't remember how I kind of got into this, but looking through the PSN store, man, Sony has really doubled down on the whole using your mobile device as a controller. Like they're really going after that whole sort of segment. I don't know how successfully they're doing it. I honestly haven't tried any of the things that they've done that with. But boy, they're really putting a lot of eggs in that basket.
Yeah, they have quite a few.
I mean, it makes so much sense, right? Like that's why Jackbox is so great. There's never anyone in the room who doesn't have access to a mobile device nowadays.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. With those, you do I think have to download an app. With Jackbox, it's just a web browser, which is super nice.
Yeah.
But and that is all I've been playing. So Ethan.
Yeah, I want to start by talking about.
I hear you bought Battlefront 2.
I did. And I will definitely talk about that in a moment, but I want to talk first about what the real unmitigated disaster of the week was. And that is Rime for Nintendo Switch. It is a very, very good game that is a tortured, terrible port where the resolution on handheld mode is totally unacceptable. The frame rate dips to like 10 to 12 frames per second when you're outside. It just really is this kind of painful port that doesn't work well. Docked works even worse handheld, and I just don't understand how it could have gotten through submissions. It was so bad that people thought that, okay, the day one patch is going to solve all of these things, right? Because sometimes that's happened on Switch games. Even Mario vs. Rabbids was a little rough before you put that patch on. But nope, this is still just exactly what you never ever want from Switch games. And I'm kind of surprised Nintendo allowed it, because this is not what you want people to be worried about when they decide to get the Switch version of a game. Is it going to turn out to be this kind of cruddy port? They should have at least changed the environments, maybe made things smaller, made it easier for the machine to handle it, but they should not have released it this way, because it's done neither, I think, the developers or consumers any favors. Have you heard anything about it?
Yeah, I watched a couple of videos on the stuttering that it suffers from, and yeah, it looks bad for sure. And I think, if we end up seeing a lot more ports on the Switch, it's going to be hard to get around some of that. Even Doom has some frame rate dips, but this seems like they should have left it in the oven for a few more months and really tried everything that they could. And maybe they did try everything they could to get it to work, and this is the best they could do. yeah, it's unfortunate for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to unfairly denigrate the development team's work, but I'll just say it really makes me appreciate what Panic Button does. When you look at what they did with Doom and Rocket League, which I also did pick up. Rocket League, you played that on Switch, I'm sure, CJ. I've seen some tweets from you. Yeah. I ended up really enjoying that when I finally played a game where I got 3 goals. That made me feel capable. But the thing is it doesn't look beautiful when it's pulled off the dock and you're playing handheld, but it runs really, really well. They keep the frame rate. They know where to prioritize. Same thing with the Doom port. They understand what's important in terms of maintaining the integrity of the game. And that's why I think people love both of those games. But that's not easy to do, and the guys that that worked on Rime unfortunately didn't nail that. So I would say avoid it.
Yeah, agreed. And the Skyrim port as well. I think Iron Galaxy had a lot to do with that, or it sounded like they worked on it a lot on Twitter. And when you're comparing games on the Switch, you're like Skyrim runs really well, Doom runs really well, and then you've got this Rime game which isn't really as graphically as taxing, and it runs like it does. It's hard to accept.
Yep. Well, so then last Friday, speaking of Skyrim, I was getting all ready to the Thursday night before go to my GameStop to pick up at 9 p.m. Skyrim. Was really, really looking forward to that, heard the great reviews. And just as I was getting ready, we had the bomb drop that EA decided to pull microtransactions temporarily out of Battlefront 2, as you guys discussed last week. And so that was encouraging, and recognizing that you'll get a decent window, even though it's not clearly defined, where there are no microtransactions, enough for me to play and enjoy the game and then trade it in and try something new. That encouraged me to actually see what the hubbub was about and actually purchase the game. Again, picked it up and have played through most of the single player campaign right now, which is very pretty, but kind of disjointed. It feels like they were using as many pieces of the multiplayer as they could to pull together this story mode. The heroine is an interesting character, but you don't see much of her. What you instead see is just kind of a Frankenstein, stitch of like sequences with Luke and Leia and Han, and stuff with the lead heroine, who's in first person, where the heroes are in third person, and you have the battle sequences that are aerial, that are impressive, but again feel like they've just kind of been culled from a different part of the game. So it doesn't feel like a really cohesive campaign the way, say, Halo 5 does. Or Gears of War 4, certainly. It's definitely not the priority of the development team to put together a terrific story, but it looks great. It sounds like Star Wars, and I am having fun with that. No one else has played the game, is that right?
No, it goes against my philosophy and beliefs to buy that game.
No.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Same. No, honestly, no, I didn't, because of all the. Yeah, we talked about this last week. I didn't, because of everything that was happening with it, and just don't really have the money to spend. Hearing how the progression sounded completely broken, didn't really have the money or time to spend on it. So
yeah,
sure. And I have barely touched the multiplayer. I think I've put like maybe a total of 45 minutes into it. You can see right off the bat the frustrations where they're showing you what cards other people have equipped, and if you are at the very beginning of the game and you don't have any cards, that immediately feels unfair. It just it doesn't encourage me to want to try to dig into the game and find those cards, even if you can't pay to get them. It just makes me think, okay, well, I'm never going to be grinding, and when microtransactions become available, I'm never going to be spending there. So I just don't see a place that fits for me here. So again, I think I'm going to be very comfortable maybe putting another hour and a half into the campaign to finish it, maybe another hour into the multiplayer to get a feel for it, and then be done with it. And that's, I suppose, more time that I put into that than I ended up putting into the first game, because the first game didn't even have a campaign mode. But you know, it's just kind of an spectacular experience that has really, really pretty graphics. And it's not something to get worked up about, I think, in terms of like really gotta play it, right? It's a skippable game. And if you know, you're concerned about what it's going to be once they turn on the microtransactions, that's a totally reasonable concern, and you know, you're not missing out on much if you just decide to leave it behind. So that was my feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly not concerned about when they turn on the microtransactions. That's you know, my bigger concern was the progression, the non-paying progression. So I want to hear sort of where that lands first.
Sure.
Because it is something that my son is super interested in. So I'd like to grab it because I really enjoyed playing the first game with him. And if it gets to a point where, for the amount of time he's going to put into it, if he's able to, you know, earn some characters and some fun stuff just by playing it without me having to worry about buying anything, then I'll get it. Or the flip side of that, when it goes down to like $15, I'll get it. But because he will still want to play it, but you know, if the progression is as broken as they said it was last week, then I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting for sure. I mean,
Sure.
I don't want him to have to grind for 20 hours to unlock something interesting. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And as I said, being that I've put very little time into the multiplayer, I can't speak much to that other than to say that they make you feel pretty ganged up on pretty quickly. And that's not a great feeling.
Right.
So yeah, not my favorite game of the year, that's for sure. So one though that really did impress me was Skyrim, and so I was up last night till about 3:45 in the morning playing Skyrim. I couldn't stop playing. It's just a delight to be able to do that and play anywhere, because as I said earlier, I have been wanting to spend tons of time on this game for years, but have never been able to do so because Skyrim came out when my kids were very young, and now they're older, which makes it easier. But of course, you know, the portability makes it easier still, and it runs so well on this machine. The load times were awful on 360. They were really, really bad, if you remember. And
let it be known that on the Switch, 6-year-old games run great.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, like if they bring back a ton of great 360 games that I didn't have time to play because my kids were young, that's great. That's wonderful. And I did incidentally pick up LA Noire as well, which I'm also happy with. I am the audience for that. So all mocking aside, I think that's terrific. And you know, if we get that and we get some great
I don't think we should put the
plays-
mocking aside.
Well, I mean, it's not relevant, but I mean, you know, the thing is it's a really good experience if you're looking for the easiest possible way to play Skyrim. I am curious how the PlayStation VR version works. I assume no one picked that one up.
No.
Did anyone else even get the Switch version or not?
No.
No.
I have my unplayed PS3 version or whatever version I have. I'm not going out and spending money again on a game that I never played the first time.
Sure.
I'm waiting for
Understand that.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and that's going to be my RPG for a while.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good call. But yeah, I think that there's little doubt that Zelda, Mario, and Skyrim are probably the games I will get the most time and joy out of this year overall. It's really, really quite good. And that's what I've been playing.
Cool. Awesome. Does that mean that we're ready for tweets?
Twiddly-diddly-dee, twiddly-diddly-dee, tweet.
And
Somebody, Michael Nelson,
Yes.
hacker alias Mr. Nelson, I should say, has gone on a vision quest to listen to all of the Player One podcast episodes, which I think is nuts. But
He's insane.
more power to
Great
him.
man, but
He's a very nice man.
my gosh, there's got to be
yes.
something better you can do with your time, sir.
But I was shocked to find out that you started doing that really early on in the show.
long
can't-
time ago.
You can't have done it every week since then. I know we do it every
No.
week now, but
No, there was I think I did it for a little while and then just stopped for several years,
Mercy, maybe?
I guess. But I'm bringing it back.
Yeah.
in a big way.
It was like in the mid 100s, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, follow
Crazy.
Mr. Nelson, and he'll point out kind of a big. I hesitate to say important moments in the Player One podcast history. Yeah,
there were moments.
Moments.
There were definitely moments.
Yeah. So.
All right. You know what I think we should start with then? A tweet from hacker alias Mr. Nelson.
Well, that's weird.
I know. Who says, I grew up on point-and-click adventures, but Telltale games really got stale, formulaic, and license-dependent. Any ideas of how to revitalize the adventure genre?
Well, just go play some Thimbleweed Park.
No, but he's not asking about good adventure games. He's asking, how do we revitalize
the genre?
But I mean, good,
the genera.
That is a good game. Yeah, and there's like the Full Throttle remaster that's out now, and
the
Day of the Tentacle remaster that's out, and the Monkey Island is great. But
I think the real state of the art there, though, is what Dontnod's been doing or did with the initial Life is Strange. I think that the production values were great. The whole time manipulation thing was super clever, and that felt it's definitely an adventure game, but it had the polish and mechanics of like a full-on AAA video game.
Yeah, I think that Telltale hit on something early on. I think episodic was the way to revitalize that genre, and I feel like what they did early on, and the licenses were a good way to do it as well. But I've spoken with this so many times on the show. They destroyed it with the fact that they didn't upgrade their engine nearly fast enough, which meant that there wasn't a lot of new play mechanics in there, and they made you wait so long for new episodes with absolutely no schedule. Like I still think that format does work.
Yeah.
It worked really well, like Ethan was just saying. I mean, it worked really well for Life is Strange as well. But you've got to be more stringent in how and when you release those things, and try to move the genre forward a little bit. But I don't know. I don't know how I really think that was a great way to revitalize it, because you took out the whole barrier to entry of the full price tag. Like, you're not talking a $60 or $70 game in a genre that isn't necessarily a big deal anymore. So
well, also they really understood the importance of water cooler moments. As I've mentioned before, some of my favorite old Player One podcasts was when you guys were all playing Walking Dead and talking about it. And that's when that was kind of it was at the tip of the cultural zeitgeist. Everyone was playing it. There's not been an experience quite like that since, but even being able to, after you finish a chapter, seeing how other people decided what to do was really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and it kind of goes along. I was having a conversation similar to this over Netflix, and how I kind of I've gotten over the whole binging a new show when it comes out. Like Punisher just came out, and Stranger Things 2 just before that. And I know so many people that just binged it, which I used to do, but I find I don't have the time for anymore. And it actually kind of makes me miss appointment television in a way, because of exactly that. Because when you had a big episode that all your of something that all your friends are watching, you talked about that particular thing the next morning at work. And you're right, like the way the episodic gaming, that is a good point. Like when we were playing The Walking Dead, we're all playing it at the same time. We're all experiencing the same things over the same span of time, and it was it was great. It was a great way to do it.
Well, and I'm experiencing something unique with Batman. We're playing that, my son and I, on Switch. I'm being careful to make sure he's not seeing the more grisly stuff, but he has his own save and he's playing through it, and I have my own. But he was, for a while, just hitting a random button because he can't read quickly enough when they put you under a time pressure to make a decision. Right. And so he ended up inadvertently breaking one of the criminal's arms in the first chapter, and also like grabbing the Zorro tickets that he had as memories of his parents' death and shredding them and throwing them away. And like when he did that, he actually broke into tears. He like felt horrible. And so we had to switch off where I'm like, okay, that's going to be my version. That's going to be my save. And you play off of my version so you can, do that differently. But it has been interesting to see what's similar and what's different and what scenes pop up when you're actually playing next to someone who's playing the same game but making different choices.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they have something. They just need to tighten it up, basically. And we need other companies doing it. That's how to revitalize it. Make it more than one company sort of carrying that baton, right?
Yeah.
Indeed. More frequently.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Hacker alias Jay McCathers says, after playing Odyssey, I wanted to go back and play Galaxy. Do you think an HD remake for Switch could happen, and would they be able to make the controls work without the waggle? I mean, the Switch has waggle.
I was going to say, I mean, they kind of doubled down on the waggle stuff, even with Odyssey. It's just that you didn't need it.
Right.
And I think that would have to be the one little adjustment, is just make it so that you can have some other way of doing it so that you're not required to use it. Because you use it more than you would think. The other thing that's kind of interesting about Galaxy, and this isn't a constraint, but that also doesn't use the second analog stick at all for camera, because remember on the Wii you didn't have a second analog stick.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, otherwise it's totally possible to see an HD remake. I mean, we saw an HD remake of a Wii U game almost within the launch window of the Switch, so doing an HD Wii remake was not really far-fetched.
Well, and they've done things like new Play Control Pikmin and the Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, they were doing HD remakes of Wii games on the Wii U.
And HD remakes of GameCube games on the Wii.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to,
it's certainly possible.
I wanted to ask you guys about that, though. Like, would you prefer for Nintendo to, for instance, have just a virtual console that gave you completely unmodified GameCube games? Or would you prefer to spend more to get those versions of, say, Metroid Prime actually redesigned for the Switch, higher resolution, 16:9 display, really kind of customized the way you saw Wind Waker? What approach would you prefer?
I would, with Metroid Prime, I'd love to see a remake that's designed for the Switch. But that's also because Metroid Prime is like, what, almost 15 years old?
Yeah.
And honestly, I hated the way it played on the Wii. The remake for the Wii, I couldn't stand it. So yeah, I'd rather it fit the system, but I also I don't like the fact that, like, Mario Kart 8 for the Switch did nothing for me. I didn't play it for more than a week. Because it felt like I had so recently played it. And I had buyer's remorse with that game almost immediately. Because it was just
so interesting.
Too recent. Just too recent, right? Too recently a full priced game. So.
And that's one where I can totally see where you're coming from, and I see that concern is absolutely valid. And yet I was really excited about being able to play it again.
But the fact something is on the Switch is much more important to you than it is to me. So but something that's like a couple generations old, I'm totally down for. Yeah, absolutely. Mario Galaxy might be old enough. I don't know.
I feel the same way about Nintendo's own games as I would feel about games from any other publisher. If they want to bring games from the 360, PS3, Wii generation over to the Switch and add new control schemes or whatever to make it fit the platform, and upgrades the graphics, fantastic. I will totally rebuy those for a higher price. Personally, I mean, we have the SNES Classic and then NES Classic. Like, I pretty much have the games that I wanted out of that. Like, I really don't care as much about that. What Hamster's doing with the Arcade Archives series. Hopefully they'll continue that and do more titles than just Neo Geo stuff on Switch. But I don't need Virtual Console, the brand Virtual Console. I like the idea of what they're going to do with their online service stuff and add NES games with online functionality. I'm curious to see what form that takes.
You know what they need? They need game room on anything.
Oh man.
Yep.
That was the way to do that.
Game room was great.
Yeah.
Game room was great. It was a great idea, but no, I mean, nobody wanted that, right? Nobody wanted to play Konami's old racer that nobody remembered.
Okay, that's the thing, though. I think nobody wanted what they offered as far as the content went. They were hamstrung by it, which is why it'll never work. You'll never ever see it happen.
Right.
The best you could do is recreate something like that was actually a fan-made skin for a MAME emulator. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the theoretical power in that is just memories of when Geometry Wars came out for the 360, and it was so hot, and there was nothing else to play, and everyone was focused on the leaderboards, and that was really, really fun. That was highly social, that experience. If they could get people interested enough to keep coming, but it's like Namco Museum on the Switch is very, very nicely handled, and it has the leaderboards and all of that, but I haven't played it for months, and no one else has either, so there's no reason for me to come back to it and compete.
The problem, and that's the thing, the problem is with situations like that is that a healthy library on the system is actually the worst enemy of a game like that, because people have so many other good choices, right? Like you're talking about early 360, and especially with achievements, that was really well done because everybody's playing the same game, everybody was getting the same achievements all at the same time in the early days of the 360, but then it went away. Now
Resogun as well on PS4, was
right because there's nothing else to play.
Right.
But once there's a lot more to play, that stuff tends to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's do this one from hacker alias Mathman1024, who says, "Has your child ever spoiled a game that you were playing? My son gave me unsolicited advice while playing Mario Odyssey, and I just had to put the controller down and walk away."
Not really.
No. I've not had that problem.
Then I guess
I have not had that problem.
Think of any situation like that.
My kids
spoiled
are into
Skylander Imaginators.
Yeah, there you go. My kids are into games that I don't necessarily play a lot of. So, and the stuff that they're into, like, they can't spoil Minecraft for me.
Right.
I don't play it anyway, but and they're into a lot of mobile games that I don't really play, so it's never really
I've seen it happen to my daughter. She really gets annoyed when little brother is looking over her shoulder when she's playing Zelda, because her brother will sit and watch the YouTube videos, so he'll see how things are done, and then he'll be giving her hints feeling very happy that he knows what she's trying to figure out. And that really upsets her.
That drives my daughter nuts as well.
Yeah. See that?
So... Oh, and a quick aside, Hulu, the app, something I still haven't spent any time using on Switch, my daughter is using the hell out of. She just loves, in the morning on a Saturday, having the big TV, playing Little Mario, and then on the same machine switching to Teen Titans Go.
That is a worthwhile switch.
Good choice. Yep. Good choice.
There you go.
Titans Go is great.
Titans Go is outstanding.
It is.
All right, hacker alias Beard the Movie says, "How did Beyond Oasis and Landstalker do on the Genesis when first released? Which one do you guys prefer? Personally, I always liked Landstalker the best."
I don't know how they did Beyond Oasis back in the day.
I'm a Beyond Oasis guy.
I don't know how they did, but they got a lot of great press.
Yeah,
especially from Die Hard Game Fan.
I was a much bigger Landstalker fan back in the day, but I was a big fan of Climax was the company that made that. That sort of fell within that whole Shining in the Darkness, Shining Force sort of family, which I was crazy about back when those games came out. So I remember playing and finishing Landstalker multiple times. As far as how they've aged, Beyond Oasis has aged way better than Landstalker. Landstalker now, if you pick it up and play it, is supremely difficult because of the fact that it's an isometric view and there are no shadows on the characters, and there are a lot of jumping puzzles in that game.
Is there such a thing as a good isometric game? Because I think about like Sonic 3D Blast and Zaxxon, and it's like it always Congo Bongo. Naming a lot of
something. You saying bad words about Zaxxon?
it isn't the easiest game to control and to get depth perception on.
Zach sounds great.
What I was going to say, actually, you just brought up a game that I meant to bring up. So, the one of the guys who founded Traveler's Tales, and I'll find the link to his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is great, by the way. He's gone back lately and broken down a lot of the work that Traveler's Tales did back in the day. And one of the things he's been talking about a lot is Sonic 3D Blast. And he's actually, I don't think he's released it yet, but he is releasing a patch for Sonic 3D Blast that he's calling the Director's Cut, the Genesis version, I believe, that he's calling the Director's Cut. And it looks like it's going to be awesome. It fixes a lot of the issues that game had. Everything from moving the camera forward a little bit when you're running, so that you can actually see what you're about to run into, to like not losing flickies when you take a hit.
Yeah.
Just a lot of cool little things like that. And it's kind of a fascinating channel to watch anyway. But what I was going to get at is that Landstalker would be fantastic if somebody were to go in and create a patch that created shadows underneath characters. That would fix it. It would fix the game. And Lloyd Parker in our chat is saying that it's actually available now, and his channel's name is Game Hut. I highly recommend going to check it out because he's talking about a lot of sort of dev stories of the old Travelers, because Traveler's Tales has been around since 1989, I think, or 88.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of stuff before they became the Lego company. So
Right.
Yep, they did Super Monkey Ball Adventure for us when I was.
Oh,
at
really?
Sega.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, they've worked on a lot of systems: Genesis, Super Nintendo, Sega CD. Did a lot of PlayStation stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty remarkable that any company can survive that long. Also.
Yeah.
True.
Especially a third-party developer.
It reminds me on Nintendo Voice Chat recently, they were talking with Julian Egebrecht of Factor 5, and he mentioned they're re-releasing Super Turrican for that analog, the Super Analog system that was just announced recently.
Yep.
And they're doing it, so basically they couldn't fit all of the game that they had planned on the cartridge originally, so they found the full version basically on a diskette and are releasing that with that company, with the analog company. Yeah,
it's kind of a cool story because he thought that backup was completely lost, and he just like found it on a 3.5-inch floppy in his office.
That's wild.
That is wild.
So much of the source code for these games has been lost. It's so cool that when some of that stuff gets found.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. And that game has some good music.
Yeah, the Turrican games always had fantastic soundtracks.
I don't know if we may have said this on the show. Super Turrican is one of the games, along with R-Type 3, that back in the day, I'm talking mid-90s, 94 and a little earlier, EGM used to use that as like for new interviewees. Like you had to play through Super Turrican and R-Type 3, the Lightning.
I would never have gotten a job.
It was because those are really good gamers games that not a lot of people have played. So it's a good test of skill.
Sure. I will never forget.
You play the Cuphead tutorial.
That's right.
I will never forget when a PR person did come in to show us the original Blood Rain, and the PR person picked up the PlayStation 2 controller and pinched the left analog stick with her forefinger and thumb to start moving it around, instead of just using the thumb. It was it didn't work very well.
All right. Let's wrap up with this one from hacker alias JRT1138, who says, I noticed playing Lego Avengers, only 62% have the trophy for finishing the first level. What stats surprise you most as developers?
That's crazy.
That's a pretty big one, actually.
That's a pretty big one.
That would be kind of depressing.
Yeah.
I think the biggest surprises I've ever seen goes in the opposite direction, where when I was at Midas Touch Interactive, we put together a kind of Rock'em Sock'em robot game on the Vive called Fist of Physics. And you could play through all of the content in about 25 minutes or so. And we'd have some people that were playing for a total of like 18 hours. and just never understood like how that even happened. Like, just way more playtime than the game was designed to provide.
I really do like that on the newer systems like the PS4 and Xbox One, they have that stat of how many people have gotten the achievement that you got, right? And on a lot of these games, it's not that surprising that usually less than 50% of people have gotten the beat the final boss or completed the game trophy.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And that to me, I mean, even before those stats were available, I was of the opinion like if you're a dev and you have something really cool to show and you're showing it at the end of the game, it's not worth it because less than half of your players are ever going to see it. Like you really have to front load a lot of that stuff. But a lot of these stats only affirm that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's one of the things that for storytelling in games is completely opposite to what conventional wisdom would tell you, which is, to save sort of the best for last. Like you talk, if you're looking at a book or a movie or something like that, you want to save the coolest thing for the end pretty much. But yeah, that was one of the earliest lessons I learned in game design was like the coolest thing you come up with, maybe put it halfway through the game.
Yeah.
If you want people to see it.
I would love to see the completion rates of Super Mario Odyssey compared to Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Actually, I would really be interested in that too. I bet that the finish the Bowser battle is a high rate. That's probably over 50%.
I would think so too, but then hearing about the Avengers, those are not difficult games to get through. They're not very long, so
that's true.
Yeah,
and that was the first level.
Mario.
That was finishing the first level at 62%.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's the show.
Sounds good to me.
Sure.
Yep.
All right. Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitter, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Seward.
I am halfway through writing the latest one. I was hoping I'd have it out before I went away, but unfortunately I don't, so it might be out next week. We'll see.
There you go. You'll find Generation 16 episodes.
Episode 112 went live today.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Go check it out. It's
Yes, indeed.
It's all about EA's entry into the shooter genre on the Genesis.
Ooh.
Aha. You will find show notes for this episode there. Just go to player1podcast.com/577 and you'll see them right there. We'll link to all the stuff that we talked about. The YouTube channels that Greg mentioned, we'll link to that too. So you can check out all that stuff. We also have a message board where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by going to the iTunes Music Store. While you're at the iTunes Music Store, you can also invest $1.99.
Cheap.
The Player One Podcast iPhone application gives you one-touch communication with us via the emails, the Twitters, what have you. We also have all of our episodes ready to stream right to listen device. And hey, Android cell phone telephone users, Player One Podcast iPhone application is available for you listen devices as well for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
You can find that right over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace. You can like us on Facebook. We're on Stitcher Radio. You can add us on Apple Podcasts. You can get Player One Podcast t-shirts by visiting teespring.com/P1Podcast. You can check us out, archives of our show or live recordings most weeks on the youtubes.com/P1Podcast. And if you'd like what you've heard, and how could you could head over to patreon.com/P1Podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. It keeps Ethan loaded up with Star Wars games that he should not buy based on his morals, but he's happy he's happy to make compromises if EA is happy to make compromises, at least for a couple weeks or however long it takes for them to figure out how they can start
suck more money out of him.
Start sucking more money out of people without making it seem like they're evil. which I think is what they're planning, right?
Sure.
Probably.
Just a quick aside, Forbes has an article up that's really popular on Reddit right now that
I
does
Greg
question
Forbes.
that.
Wait, what?
No, it's just it'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see what they can do to go back to monetizing that game. It'll be a question mark. That's all I'm saying.
We will see. Of course, you won't have to worry about that. You'll have sold the game long before then.
Yep.
If you have a couple bucks left over, head over to generation-16.com. You'll find a Patreon link to help support Greg Stewart's fantastic web series about North America's favorite second banana, the Sega Genesis. New episode out now.
Yes.
I gotta go watch that.
You should.
Should. When are you gonna get around to Zany Golf?
I passed Zany Golf a long time ago.
Did you do Zany Golf already?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I gotta go back. I gotta go back and rewatch these.
You do.
So CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil.
Gregory.
Yo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Finn's crying. Something's going on.
I hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta figure out what's going on. And Ethan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I guess we will see each other next week.
Okay.
Why not? Let's do it.
That
What else
sounds
are we
good.
gonna do?
Okie dokie.
Bye.
Toodaloo.
Bye.